Hello, everyone. How are you doing? I hope your semester is going well and that you're feeling pretty good about what's going on so far with your studies. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about macroeconomics, and I specifically wanted to talk about slope and how you determine if the slope is positive, negative, or zero, and also how you calculate the slope. So I know that you are moving on, but you will be needing information about the slope for your tests and quizzes, and also it will pop up throughout the semester in the course. So I've gone ahead and created a couple of whiteboards for you, and so I'm going to try and share them with you. This is a learning curve for me too, because this is my first time I'm using this product, but I'm getting it. So let's go ahead and see if I can get this going. So the first screen that I'm going to share with you is this one. Hopefully you can see it now. And what this is depicting is just how lines on a graph may appear. When you see a line that's straight across, that means that the slope is zero. It will always be zero. It will never be anything other than zero. That is an independent relationship. So when one variable changes, X or Y, the other remains unchanged. It really means that whatever you're comparing, they're unrelated. So if you do see a graph like that that's showing some product on Y and some other product on X and the line is straight, it just means that they don't affect each other and there's no change at all. So for example, bottled water, the sales in bottled water probably would not affect the sales in whiskey, for example. So things like that. When you look at slope, what you're really looking at is how much of a change was there. Was there a big change or a little change? And then economists use that information to determine, what does that change actually represent within the populace of the United States. So, for example, if they notice that only hybrid cars are selling and the big SUVs aren't selling, they're going to try to figure out why. Is it because people's incomes are down? Is it because the car companies aren't making those anymore? Whatever it is, but they will try to get to the bottom of it. So they're looking at the various amounts of change. So when you see a slope like this or a line like this on a chart or a graph, what this is an inverse relationship. You can also think of inverse as a negative slope. I've seen it both ways. Your textbooks calls it inverse, so you need to know that term because that's what will be asked on the tests. But you can also think of it as negative. And so what that means is as y increases, x decreases, or vice versa. So that is a negative slope. And this is moving from left to right. When you see a line on a graph that's this way, moving from right to left, this is a direct relationship. So what that means is as x increases, y increases, or vice versa, and that's a positive slope. So they're both moving in the same direction. So now I'm going to bring up the next slide, maybe. What up here? A new share, which is this one. And so what I have here, oh my goodness. Darn. Oh, there it is. Okay. So what I have here is the graph that is in your Appendix 1. I have Chapter 1 here, but I really meant Appendix 1. It's Exhibit A5 from the sample quiz. So what is the slope of the line? Is the slope positive or negative? Inverse. So we know from the previous chart I just showed you that this is inverse. Inverse is negative, so that means it's a minus. Now we're going to calculate the slope. So the formula to find the slope, it is in your textbook, and it's in chapter 1, A3. Slope equals rise over run, and that is equal to change in vertical axis and change in x-axis. So y is always the vertical axis, and that's called the rise. X is always the horizontal axis, and that's called the run. So we have, what we're looking for is the change in y over the change in x. This is a little delta sign. It's a little triangle for y, and change in x. So we can see on this chart that 20 minus 10, we're only looking at y now. So y has something on 10 and 20. So we're looking at the difference between these two items, and that is 10. So we have 20 minus 10 equals 10. Then we're looking at this, at x. What is the change in x? So there's nothing on this line, so we're looking at 0 to 40, right, is x. So we have minus 40 because it's negative. So 10 over minus 40, which equals minus 1/4 or minus 0.25. So that is the slope. And what we're looking at on this chart is the price per pizza and the quantity of pizzas purchased. So what this is telling us is that when the price of pizza goes up by this amount, $10, then we know that 25% less pizzas are sold. So that's all there is to it. That's how you calculate slope. And it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, because if the line was going this way, the only difference would be that it was a positive 40 instead of a negative. It's all calculated the same way. So I hope this helps you out, and I'm looking forward to working with you the rest of the semester, and I will see you online.